Org.
All right, hello everybody. So today we have a guest. We're here at Ace of the Plate. Sorry for sort of the hectic type episode. There is really a lot of stuff going on. We have Julie here.
Hi,
Say
everyone.
hello to Julie.
Hi.
So today, listen, I'm going to be frank here. And if you follow baseball, you listen to the show regularly, you know that it's been a slow news week. So the show does not have as much topics, but we have stuff to talk about. And today, again, like I said, we have Julie here, who I met at the radio meeting.
Thanks for having me.
On. Yeah, no problem. And Joe is not here. Our friend Joe, unfortunately, he's not here. Everyone is busy on finals week. We got my co-host is not here, so it's sort of just me and Julie right now. We're sort of just winging it. So bear with us here. So today we're going to start with the slow market, right? Because the market has been so slow with MLB free agents, and that's why there hasn't been a lot of news. I mean, there's been news, but there hasn't been big news. I mean, let's get serious here. There really hasn't been stuff. But and what's, when you look at it, when you analyze it, what's been holding up the time? What's been holding up the market, and the sluggers that are holding them up are Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion, because all these people who want to make trade, like the pitching market's sort of done now. I mean, you have Chris Sale. I mean, there really isn't any starting pitchers. Then you have the relievers. They're all signed up. Jansen, Chapman, all those other guys, they're all signed up. Really, what's left is, unless I'm really missing someone, is the hitting market that really hasn't developed. There's a lot of big names out there like Matt Wieters. I mean, he's not really that big, but he's the best catcher open on the market right now. And that's not saying much, folks. We have Edwin Encarnacion, and we have Jose Bautista. So Julie happens to be both a Yankees and a Red Sox fan. So you would be watching Edwin Encarnacion, or out of me, you would have seen Edwin Encarnacion and Jose Bautista the most, correct? Because of the division and stuff.
Yeah, because it's the
So I
American
mean,
League.
did those guys seem to have good years? No, or
No.
what do you recall from their seasons? Do they have stuff left? Do they? Have stuff left in the
I
tank?
mainly watched Jose, and as much as I don't really care for him, I'm not a big fan of him. I think he's a show off, but he is good regardless. So
I mean, the thing is, right? It's so weird, and this has happened last year too. The hitters market is so late to develop. It's so strange how it comes down to the wire, because at the end of the day, we're going through. It's almost Christmas.
Yeah,
By the way, I didn't even mention this is the last show of the semester. We'll be back eventually, so we'll be back when school starts again. But anyway, sorry to get off topic, but you have it's so weird because you like it's almost Christmas, and two of the biggest free agent market sluggers are still on the market, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of activity. Is it because of their age? I mean, I know that Bautista's like 36, I think, and I think Encarnacion's 34. If I'm wrong, correct me. I don't know if you would know.
I don't know, but I think that could be a factor, age. But like, that's not terrible of age. I mean, it's not 40 or anything.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. It's really strange because. And why do I mention all this stuff is because, again, like, you go on MLB Trade Rumors, right? That's a really nice website. And you really don't see a lot of stuff. I go on it right now, and there really isn't a lot of stuff. There's like, what do we got here? I mean, literally, the information is dry, baby. I mean, it's like there's nothing. There's like, we have like Jays and Trumbo, the Yankees. The Yankees we have here, Yankees
got Chapman.
Well, we know they got Chapman. We talked about it. But they're interested in White Sox ace Jose Quintilla, whatever. And the Yankees think they have a... So here's something to talk about, right?
There you go.
This literally just came up just now. So
okay.
It's not like I didn't try and prep for it. But
no, it's okay.
Do you know the White Sox ace Jose Quintana?
I actually don't know him, but I do know the White Sox do have good pitching.
Yeah,
that's kind of what they're like. I guess known for. I'm not sure about their hitting, but their pitching is really good. People always go after their pitchers.
But, however, even though that This is what I'm reading right now, literally that just started on the
No,
site.
yeah, I understand.
John Morassi, that's his name. He's like a beat reporter, a sports reporter. He says that even though the Yankees clearly have the talent in their farm system to acquire an ace like that, because the Yankees need pitching,
Yeah.
but they clearly have the talent, and he says it's unlikely that they're gonna land him because the Yankees are still sort of holding on to the farm that they got after trading everyone, which is sort of understandable. I mean, to be honest, if I was the Yankees, what I would do is sort of lean out. This should be a year of testing out prospects and seeing which ones are going to be winners, which ones are going to be losers, which ones need work, which ones don't. The Yankees should really just be this. They should look at this year as sort of where their prospects are. It's sort of like a mandate.
That's actually what they're doing. I just read before, I think it was last night, that Yankees aren't really doing anything major, but because they want to keep their young hot stove and see how that's going.
I mean, by the indications of them not wanting to deal their young talent for a clear need that they obviously need, it shows that that's what they're going to be doing. Also, again, this article just came out. GM Dan Duquette, who is the Orioles GM, is still interested in Mark Trumbo, and there's still, quote, a window open for the slugger to return to Baltimore.
That's interesting.
So basically, what they're saying is that, because listen, Trumbo, there's no secret, he had a breakout year sort of in Baltimore. That really has a lot to do with their short ballpark. It's a very small park. It's a hitter's park.
Yeah,
he
true.
led the league in home runs. I think it was 51 or 52, if I'm not.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was 52 actually to put it on the money, and oh no, it was 47 actually. I see it right here, 47, and the fact that he was so basically, he's trying to get a 4-year deal done with Baltimore, which would be great for them. What else we got? And then we have the Nationals with Matt Wieters, who I talked about, and it's sort of weird talking about Matt Wieters because he's sort of like the best. He's definitely the best free agent catcher out on the market right now. But the problem with Matt Wieters is that he's just not that great. I mean, this is his stats this year, so get ready. So this is what we're talking about. This is what is considered the best free agent on the market right now. So, well, for catchers. So we have 243 batting average, 302 on base percentage, 409 slugging, 711 OPS. I mean, to be honest though, 243 with a low on base percentage. I know that. How many home runs does he have? I didn't read that. 17. Does not. Listen, I don't even think he's that great defensively. So the Nationals are out to get this guy. And here's the thing. Number one, are they going to sign this guy? Because they say they're going to go after someone. They then offer, and we talked about this last week, so much money for them. They overpay. But the players decline to go there. It's happened for so many players. Jason Hayward, Kenley Jansen, Ben Zobrist, Yoenis Cespedes twice. Not twice, but Yoenis Cespedes. It's happened. So them going for Matt Wieters, this will be a guy that I hope the Nationals land because I really think that it's a sure thing bust. In my opinion, I know I'm being a little hard on him, but it just... Those numbers right there, to me,
they're not good.
They're not the greatest, to be honest. They're not great. It's a low on-base percentage, which means he doesn't get on base a lot, and he's got a low average. To me, those numbers, they just don't stick. He doesn't hit a lot of home runs in the small ballpark of Baltimore. He hits 17. That's fair, but it's not like 20, 25. So, to me, I would hope the Nationals get him. With the Nationals' luck right now, I feel like they would get him, and this is because the market is so low for him, right? There's not a market for this guy. It's sort of insane how dry the market is because and you could tell it's dry because we just read off his stats. The stats aren't that great, and he's considered one of the top catching people on the free agent market. So if you're considered one of the top catching free agents on the market, and those are your numbers.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, isn't it? And it's sort of been reflective of the last few off seasons because you have think about it. Yeah, last year, besides Cespedes and Hayward and those guys, there wasn't much after that. There was like Ben Zobrist. I know he was good. Last year was all right too.
Yeah, he
And
was.
This
He
year,
was all right.
it just seems like It just seems like it just gets drier and drier each year. But I know that's going to stop in like 2 years when like Manny Machado, Bryce Harper, and all of these guys are going to be on free agent. They're going to be hitting free agency. So I would say we would have another year of this at least. But because again, like the catching prospect, not the catching prospect, the catcher that was going to be the number one premier free agent was, what's his name? Wilson Ramos. Sorry, the name escaped me. But then again, he had the untimely ACL tear on him. I don't know if you know about it.
Oh no, I didn't hear about that.
He had the unknown ACL tear, and he had a great offensive year. But the thing is, ACL, when you tear that, it's very,
That's tough.
You might not be the same after.
Yeah,
First of all,
exactly.
it takes a lot of time to heal. Second of all, you might not be the same after it. And I'll give you one clear example. Ryan Howard, who tore his ACL. I don't know what year he tore it exactly, but I know that he's never been the same. Was it an ACL or his Achilles heel? Whatever it was, he tore it, and he's just never been the same since then. So, to be honest, the Rays ended up getting Ramos, which we talked about. And to be honest, I think that Ramos is going to be fine because I think they're planning on DHing him, and he's going to be great. I have a feeling he's going to be great. And listen, he's a former National, which is why I know him so well. I saw him play a lot in the divisions. He had a really, really great year. I don't think anyone should doubt the type of year he had. It's just that the untimely injury sort of crippled him, and now it sort of in a way increased Matt Wieters' value because, now no one was going for Ramos. No one. He was really trying to get a deal done. No one would take him except for the Rays, and they got him for super cheap.
He was basically like a top deal, and then the ACL happened. You're saying?
Yeah, he was basically what happened was he was the basically top guy, and to be honest, now that Matt Wieters is getting all this attention, it just shows that. The market is definitely dried up, and it's at a standstill because then again, Matt Wieters probably isn't going to find a deal before Edwin Encarnacion and Jose Bautista, in my opinion, because you have clearly better hitters on the market. The only way Matt Wieters is going to sign is either with the Nationals on some ridiculous overpay type contract, or it might even be like really minimal, or he's just going to sign with some other small market type team, and it's just going to be sort of a disaster. I don't know. We'll see how he goes. But really, with the free agents, what else could I say? Unfortunately, it's almost great timing that the show is coming to a break because then we're gonna have a flurry of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
But speaking about stuff to talk about, there is more stuff. We have Jimmy Rollins, who agrees to a minor league deal. He's a former Philly shortstop for many years, and he went to the White Sox in 2016, had a great sort of go at it, but then got cut, and he never really came back to any team. He was looking to come to a team, so he's going to be in the Giants spring training camp, which is interesting. He's 38 years old right now. He was the 2007 National League MVP. He spent 15 seasons with the Phillies. He was
a longtime Philly hero. I remember when I was a kid, I went to Philly and I saw his jersey all over the place, like T-shirts of him.
Yeah. He was all over the place. He had all these commercials for all these, like Philly cheesesteaks. Seems like a nice guy. He was a Met killer. I watched him play for so long.
True, yeah.
He was one of the people who they really... I don't know. He really just, whenever he came up to the plate, he had great numbers against the Mets. In fact, I do remember he went to the White Sox. I think he was traded to the Dodgers, or he signed with the Dodgers for a little bit. But that could have been, I don't even know anymore. No, he definitely did. and I think he sort of sat out 2016. I'm not even 100% sure, but it's great that he got a deal. It's great that he got a deal done. I don't have anything against him, and he'll probably, it's just a minor league deal. He'll probably be a backup shortstop for the Giants, if anything, if he makes it out of camp. I mean, to be honest, we have the Phillies GM here, said his team is looking to add another hitter or reliever. I mean, I'm just reading off MLB trade rumors because it's what we have. This is like...
Again, it's very dry today.
It's dry. I'm not even going to lie. This is probably the driest episode we've had.
I mean, the notes I have are probably from like maybe 2 weeks old.
A lot of stuff because we were going over the show and before, right? I mean, she was reading the notes and we covered like a lot of it.
Yeah, like with the Red Sox and Chris Sale.
Yeah.
Although
we had a whole episode on it.
Although, what about David Wright?
Oh yeah, well we're gonna get on that. Not yet though.
Okay.
We want to save that for the next break, which in fact we're gonna talk about that after the break because we need to take one. So we will stay with us here and we'll see you soon.
This is Ace at the Plate on
is a gift of nature, but age is a work of art. Learn to appreciate life after retirement through the arts and entertainment on Senior Moments. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 right here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
Looking for some informal stress relief and a relaxing way to get to know your neighbors? Try adult coloring. It's like coloring for kids, but harder to stay in the lines. It's on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. in the Port Washington Public Library. For more info, call 516-883-4400 or visit pwpl.org. The community calendar is a public service from your friends at 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
A museum is the best place to time travel. Make your next trip easier by joining the Gold Coast Library Museum Pass program. As a member, you can borrow a free admission pass for your family to local museums like the Cradle of Aviation Museum, the Long Island Children's Museum, and more. For more info, call 516-759-8300 or visit goldcoastlibrary.org. The Community Calendar is a public service from your friends at 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
You're listening to Ace at the Plate.
All right, so we're back, and I'm glad that Julie brought this up, the David Wright thing. So we're gonna have a little bit of a discussion on David Wright. Of course, he's the Mets third baseman. He's the Mets third baseman. He's the Mets captain, and of course, he's well known in New York, especially to Mets fans. So with David Wright, Julie brought up that she read a story. What was the story about? Do you mind bringing it up? You don't have to bring up the story.
No, it's all right. The story's basically like the 3 top things that David Wright needs to do to remain like a good top player, which were, number 1, strike out less, walk more. Number 2, hit more home runs. And number 3, stay healthy, which the last 2 I kind of don't get. I mean, staying healthy, that's probably what they're best at doing to the best of their abilities. I mean, you can only stay so healthy for so long before something happens. God forbid. It's like permanent. And hit more home runs. I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't know who wrote the article. I don't know who that article's by.
I don't remember either.
It's okay. And, for me, really what it is just that, it's sort of like no-brainer. Of course he needs to lower his strikeouts. Of course he needs to hit home runs.
Yeah.
Of course he needs to stay healthy. And for me, I think he's going to have a really good year. I know that this is a very sort of split issue among Mets fans, which is definitely why I wanted to talk about it. And, for me, David Wright, he is and listen, I guess I have some bias. He's my favorite player of all time. Him and Reyes are the only 2 people on the team that are still on the team when I started watching. So I've sort of had a connection with both of those players, and they sort of both of their careers.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Are sort of someone I've analyzed and looked up to. So, but with Wright, let's be clear here. It's no secret he's had a bunch of health issues. He's been plagued with the spinal stenosis. He's been plagued with the neck injury that he had last season.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of problems, and people are saying he should retire and things like that. But, and you know, I would be sort of on that boat I would be on that boat. However, I'm definitely not, and I'll tell you why. Because every time before he gets hurt, and this includes and I'm going to give you an example. Every time before David Wright gets hurt, because it's almost like a yearly thing, and we call it like an annual time when David Wright gets hurt. It's just like you have to just expect that he plays for a month and he gets hurt. I mean, that's just how he is. So, but every time before that month, before his time is up, he's hitting. I mean, he's hitting. I'll tell you this. In 2016, he led the team in on-base percentage. So, before he got hurt. So, if you're doing that and you're in the 2-hole, I mean, that's fine with me. You're getting on base for the 3-hitter, for the 4-hitter. It seems like he's doing his job. Now, then again, people need to understand. People get so upset. People get so frustrated and emotional, but people need to understand that he's never going to be the type of guy he was before these injuries. And I think that's why people get so angry, is they're expecting too much. I mean, the guy isn't going to be able to play every day. He's just not. You know, he's going to play, like 2 games in rest or 3 games in rest, or he might...
Maybe like 4 max.
You know,
not 5.
He's not going to be playing every day anymore, and he hasn't been for a while, obviously, because he's been injured. But when he's here, he's not going to be playing every day, so he's not going to have as much. He's basically not going to have enough at bats to obviously be the superstar that he was. But I'll tell you this: he could still produce, because it's evident in the past 2 seasons. When in 2015, when he came back, he was amazing. And then in 2016, he was really great. So to me, I didn't understand the whole retirement talk. The only thing is that, people go, well, obviously it's a detriment to his health to keep playing. You know,
a lot of people suggest retirement when it's no matter what sport, really, like if it's a back issue, because that's just the main part of you, basically.
I mean, a back issue is a big issue. It's not like it's a small thing. But David Wright has been trying to find a way to make it work. He's put in a lot of good years to the franchise, and quite frankly, he's still producing. So, do I think it's time for retirement? I wouldn't say so. Definitely not yet. In fact, I wouldn't be angry if he wrote out his whole contract, because he has the right to do that. So, you know, and listen, it's sort of like not even that bad, because when he is hurt, the Mets aren't paying a big amount of that contract. Like, he has insurance, so the Mets are not paying, 60% of his contract when he's hurt. So it's almost like you're still paying for a bit of it, but then again, listen, this is at the time, this was a no-brainer signing. Do I think it's worked out as well as we've hoped? Obviously not, because of all the injuries. But I think with the time that he's been here, you got to give him credit. The time he's been playing, you got to give him credit, and hopefully things continue, and hopefully he could really rebound. My predictions for his year, let's say he doesn't get hurt, like he goes on schedule. He'll play maybe 100 games, 90 games, something like that. He'll hit. I would love him to hit 250, but I would say he'll hit 249 around there, 248, something like that. And then he'll probably hit around 15 to 20 home runs. That wouldn't be a bad season for this version of David Wright. It wouldn't be the old David Wright where he's hitting 270, 280, and he's knocking in 20, 25 dingers or something, but
not that same guy anymore.
It's just not
older.
That guy. People are expecting too much, and that's really the problem with him. So
I think it's because when he first started, he was so young, he was ready to take on the world, and not he's not so young anymore, so people still want that that young David Wright when he helped the Mets so much, so with all that he's done. And now that he's older, he's gotten injuries under his belt, it's just not the same. His body isn't the same anymore.
You know what else I think it is? I just think that time flies, really.
That's true.
Just yesterday, it could feel like, I'm not saying it was, but I'm just saying it could feel like just yesterday he was just starting his career. I mean, this time flies. It feels like for me, it feels like this year went by so quick. It feels like 2016 flew by. I remember the first month. It's like the years go by so quick, and you forget how old these guys sometimes are. I mean, David Wright, he's 33 years old or 34. So he's not like that old, but I'm saying is this that, he came up as a really young kid and he's just not that kid anymore. And at time, you forget. You really do forget sometimes.
Do you remember how old he was? I think he was like 20.
Thing is, I don't remember because I can't even remember his debut. It was 2004. I was in like first grade. I mean, for me, I think I was in first grade. I can't even remember. I can't remember 2004. I couldn't tell you what happened. I couldn't tell you any movies that came out.
All I remember is I was at his first game. First pitch. It was a ball.
Yeah. Is that all you remember from it, or tell us if you have anything?
They didn't really play him much, but
it was
But yeah, the first pitch was a ball. I think he walked, if I remember correctly. Obviously, this was like over 10 years ago. So
yeah, this is
hard to
long
remember.
Time ago. It's okay,
First thing, all I remember is I believe he walked, or did he strike out? I don't know, walk or strike out, one of those two. He didn't get a hit though.
It's fine. Yeah, no, I know he didn't get a hit because he got his hit. I think it was his 6th game, and the only reason why I really know this is because I'm not doing it anymore. I finished it. A final project on David Wright for one of my classes, and it was just like a short little highlight video. So I have footage of his first hit, and I used it in the project. And you could hear the announcer. It's like, 6 games. David Wright was a double. And, listen, I mean, the guy was definitely a highly touted prospect. I think that he's broken a ton of records with the Mets. So you got to give him credit where it's due. And even though he's definitely, again, not the guy pre-injuries, he's just not going to be that guy. You cannot expect that on him. He could still be a valuable contributor. And the people who think that David Wright is our biggest concern, I wish David Wright was our biggest concern because it's really not. We have the Mets as a team. The biggest concern about the Mets team, and we'll sort of transition, and this is sort of like a perfect transition for it, is that the pitching injuries. I mean, the offense is already weak enough on the Mets, and it's just not known for an offensive team. The Mets have never been known for being that well of an offensive team. When you think of the Mets, you think of their pitchers, Tom Seaver, Doc. I mean, and now you have the new guys, Harvey, Syndergaard. There was Kuzman. I mean, there were tons of guys. You can name off the tip of your tongue. Of course, there were famous Mets hitters like Keith Hernandez and all those guys. But I mean, some of the most iconic players, Ron Darling.
Lenny Dykstra?
Well, yeah, but he wasn't a pitcher. I'm bringing up pitchers. But, for me, to be honest, it just sort of, it's just like the Mets have never really been the type of team to go on hitting, and of course they've hit the most home runs last year than they ever did in a single season. They did a lot of offense, but the problem was the pitching. So it's sort of weird. That's why I brought that up, because it's sort of weird that the Mets' biggest problem last year was not the offense. I mean, yeah, the offense was still pretty weak, but the fact that the offense was pretty weak overall, but for the Mets, it was good. And that's not really saying much, but it was decent. The problem is there was Syndergaard, but there was no DeGrom, no Matz, no Wheeler again. Matt Harvey was not the same Matt Harvey. I mean, just everyone was getting hurt. And when you have all those pitchers going out for injuries in extended periods of times, or in some cases the whole season, like Matt Harvey, played, but he wasn't the same, and then he was out for the rest of the season. Zach Wheeler, who knows where that guy is. Jacob deGrom, he was out for the season. Eventually, I mean, he was there for a while, but he eventually went out for the season. So, in order for the Mets to stay relevant, they really, really need the pitching to step up. And it's not that it was bad, it's just that they need to stay healthy, because that's just the problem that occurred last year. And I think
we had too many injuries.
For me, it wasn't even like the pitching, I mean, we still got to the playoffs, but we would have had a lot better shot of winning the division if we had our pitching for a longer period of time than we did.
Definitely.
Because they were just gone. I mean, the Mets have these guys, Syndergaard, Matz, DeGrom, Wheeler, etc., right? But again, like, here's you add this up. First of all, it wasn't even like Matt Harvey was there for a while. You know what the problem with Matt Harvey was? He didn't pitch like Matt Harvey. So when you have Matt Harvey not pitching like Matt Harvey, that is a huge blow to the rotation. That is huge. And then when he's out for the rest of the season, it's even bigger. So it's just like we got to make sure the pitchers are healthy. And the problem with that is that some of these pitchers are known to have recurring injuries. And I'll give you an example. The biggest one that comes to mind, that's Steven Matz. He's always, ever since he's come up, I know it was only 2 years ago, but he came up. I mean, he had an injury like the minute he came up. He had a lat injury. He's had elbow problems, shoulder problems. I mean, Steven Matz is a big part of this rotation. So the biggest thing for the Mets is to be healthy. And if they could have their pitchers in there for most of the games, you know, they could keep that they could keep that pitching rotation fairly steady, I think they'll have no problem getting back into the postseason, because with Cespedes being here long term now, it seems like the players really rally around him and everyone sort of picks it up for him. It's sort of just, I think things are going to fall into place for the Mets. And as for the Yankees, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I really think that the Yankees they're not obviously as in good shape as the Mets. Their pitching staff's really bad, but like CC, Tanaka's not. He's like a mystery.
Basically,
Severino had a bad year, I think.
I think it's basically like they're either retiring or they're brand new. So, but the Yankees, what they want to do is they want to hold on to their young batch.
Yeah. And
they don't really want to do anything, which in the end will probably result in a wild card if they're lucky.
Yeah, you know that's what I've been saying on the show, and I'm glad that's what you think too. Is that their bats, their young guys, they could really, really make an impact. I mean, these guys are top prospect guys. Their farm system is probably still, in my opinion, the best in baseball. They've got a bunch of guys that they gave away that they got during the season last year, especially at the trade deadline. Wow, they got a bunch of guys. And if they just now we just have to see, because prospects are never guaranteed, right? They're never guaranteed. Right. So it's not like these guys are all going to be superstars. But I'm telling you, few of them could be. Very well could be. The chances are in their favor with all the studs that they have, all these top-rated guys that they have. There's bound to be someone in there that is just amazing. And one of them that immediately comes to mind for me, and he's already shown flashes, is Gary Sanchez.
Oh, don't get me started on Gary Sanchez.
Almost
Love
won
him.
rookie. I mean, the guy almost won Rookie of the Year, and he barely played any games. When he played like 30 games or something. The Yankees, what they need to do is let their prospects run, you know, sort of let them get a taste of the big leagues, you know, evaluate them closely in your farm system for a full year so you sort of have a full view, really determine where they're at, if determine if they're going to get some time in the big leagues, just to sort of prep them.
Exactly.
Because this year, since I don't think they have the pitching staff to, if they get in, I don't think they have the pitching staff to go all the way.
They don't have pitching staff to hold them
just look at
solid.
CC Sabathia, Tanaka. Really, he's so 50-50. He's sometimes great. He hasn't been the same since he didn't get the surgery.
CC's old though, right?
CC's very old.
Yeah, so
he's old.
I think what they want to do. I'm not sure about the infield and outfield, but for the pitching, they want to besides A-Rod. They basically want to keep their old guys, play them out, have them retire, and have like a big ceremony, and then move on to the young guys. Yeah. They just want to play out the old guys and let them gracefully walk off.
You know, in short, this is basically what I like to call a transition year for the Yankees. This is what they're going to be. If they make it to the wild card, they could probably they could win that game. Don't get me wrong. It's just that getting deep in the postseason is going to be tough. But listen, if they get into the wild card, I'll be stoked. I'll be happy, and I'm a Met fan. You know, I always want New York teams to do good. But I just feel like this is going to be a transition year. This should be, if the Yankees should play this smart, test out the prospects, test the waters, see how things go, make sure, because to me, you know, I feel like their prospects are really good, and they might, if their prospects are that good, like if they have that many, like, you know, they promote some guys and it's like, wow, if they have that many guys, then they could pass the Blue Jays depending on what happens with Bautista and everything, because that team looks a lot worse than they do.
Yeah, depending
right
with Bautista and everything, I think
And Encarnacion, see what happens with the Jays.
Depending on what happens with the Jays, I think what the Yankees need to do to the fans is really amp up the young guys. Show them like, hey, this is sound weird, but this is like, since Derek Jeter left, here's what we got now.
I think it's smart that you say that, and I think they're going to start doing that. I think they've already started doing it.
I hope they do.
Especially with Gary Sanchez. When fans got a taste of him, and look, he put up great numbers.
Gary's great.
It's so crazy because he almost won Rookie of the Year, right?
Who did win Rookie of the Year?
I don't know, but I know it wasn't him. He almost won it, but the fact that he only played for like 30 games is like, it was like 30 or 40 games, and to come close to winning it, that just shows. I'm sure if he played more games, he would have won it.
Oh, definitely.
I can't be 100%, but I believe the AL Rookie of the Year was Michael Fulmer, who was traded for Cespedes to the Mets. He had a very great year. I'm glad he won it. I believe he won the Rookie of the Year. I'm like 99% sure that he won Rookie of the Year instead of him, which probably more well-deserved, to be honest. But, we have... listen, he's going to be great. It's going to be a great year for baseball. I'm really excited. It just feels like the offseason is just taking forever to pass. That's really basically what it is. That's basically what the problem is, because
spring training can't hurry up enough.
Yeah, they count down the days to spring training all the time, and it's just
like once the World Series is won, it's like, okay, we got 100-something days till spring training.
You go on Twitter and stuff, and it's just like, I don't know. To me, it's just like whatever. To me, it's like this is what you see on Twitter these days. You see the same people having the same conversations about, like, Encarnacion, for an example. He's not going anywhere today, or Encarnacion has had talks with the Indians, but nothing seems to be close. I feel like I see that tweet like every day, and then ends up nothing happens, and then they'll be like, well, X amount of days till spring training.
Yeah.
So then again, like I mentioned, I think it's really great that the show is actually going to go on break, because a lot of stuff is probably going to happen when we get back. By the time we get back, because I remember wasn't this time of the year. It was like after, it was like just coming back from spring break, like the Yankee three-way deal that basically the Ben Zobrist moved, and they got, who did they get again? They got one of the dudes. I forget his name. I can't with the top of my head. He came from the Cubs. I forget his name. But they got him, so deals will be on the way, and that's basically what I'm trying to say, and hopefully so, because
Yankees also got they actually, speaking of what we were talking about with the pitchers, they got a good pitcher from Chicago who he was very angry with Chicago and set the Cubs, to be specific.
Oh, Chapman.
Yeah, Chapman.
Yeah.
He said like they overplayed him and everything, which is actually surprising.
We should definitely talk about that. We're ending the show. Not ending the show. We're going to commercial break in about a minute.
All right, we can talk about that after.
We'll talk about it definitely after. But
Chapman had a lot to say.
I forgot about that, actually.
Long story short, he had a lot to say about Chicago.
Definitely.
And how he's
I actually
happy.
completely forgot about that. You reminded me about that. So we're gonna go to break though. So stay tuned, and we'll be back soon.
A museum is the best place to time travel. Make your next trip easier by joining the Gold Coast Library Museum Pass program. As a member, you can borrow a free admission pass for your family to local museums like the Cradle of Aviation Museum, the Long Island Children's Museum, and more. For more info, call 516-759-8300 or visit goldcoastlibrary.org. The Community Calendar is a public service from your friends at 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
All right, my children, Grandfather Rock is here. Hi, this is Chris McIntosh, and join me for Rock and Soul Gospel every Friday night at 9 and Sunday evening at 5. We've been cooking up a musical stew for you for the past 35 years right here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
We are the movies, and the movies are us. Find yourself in the magic of movies every other Thursday at 1 p.m. in the Locust Valley Public Library. Sorry, no popcorn, but it's free and all are welcome. For more info, call 516-671-1837 or visit locustvalleylibrary.org. The Community Calendar is a public service from your friends at 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
You're listening to Ace at the Plate on WCWPSports.org.
All right, so we're back, and we're back for the last segment of the show. It's it's a long segment, so
That
it's
went
not
by
like
fast.
yeah, I know, right? I mean, we got 18 minutes, but
Okay.
we still got a lot of time. So anyway, listen. You brought this up about Chapman. I can't believe, like, sometimes, listen, it's finals week, guys. I'm studying, I'm doing projects, so I forget all this stuff.
It
So you gotta
happens.
forgive me. And of course, as you could tell today, with
It's all right.
not the usual people on, that it's busy. It's a busy week for everyone. So, but listen, you brought up the Chapman thing. So I know that Chapman had some negative comments on his way out the
did
door.
Chapman have some stuff to say
Do
about?
you have the notes there for him, or no? You don't have what he said.
I don't have exactly what he said,
Okay.
but they said, but I know a little bit. He said that he was like overplayed or something with the Cubs, which is
Yeah, I
surprising
think it
because
was
after the whole big celebration of the end of the Billy Goat curse, like I thought someone on the Cubs would be happy to be like on the Cubs on that winning team, World Series.
Yeah.
But it's surprising, like once they got rid of him, he's just like, well, good riddance. You overplayed me, blah blah blah. That's surprising to me.
Well, here's the thing with me, and it's because, to be honest, listen, when he was with the Yankees, he seemed like he was having a blast when I saw him with the Yankees. And if you looked on the look at his face when he found out he was traded to Chicago, like when he was in that, he didn't look happy. And he even said midway through the season, I want to be a Yankee again. He even said it straight out, I'll be back to the Yankees. So it doesn't look like he was comfortable in Chicago to begin with. Then when you have that, okay, like you might not be comfortable, you're going to have to adjust, yada, yada, I know that. Didn't seem like he got along with Joe Madden. Didn't seem like he had a lot of friends in the clubhouse.
Yeah, but those words, ouch.
Yeah, no, but I think he said that because he really just wasn't happy with Chicago. And, listen, to be honest, I don't know how you feel about it. Most people don't feel this way. I'm not really a big fan of the Cubs at all. I feel like that they were, and listeners of the show know, I feel like that they were treated like World Series champions for like 2 years already, even though they just won it, which congratulations to them. But, to me, listen, Chapman just was not happy with Joe Madden and how he was used. But at the end of the day, I mean, I sort of can't blame Joe Madden 100% because the game was won. However, Chapman, even if he consented to all the usage, like when he was talking with him, he just wasn't happy with the team. It didn't seem like it, especially when a player says, I'm going to be a Yankee again, and you're still in the current season on the other team.
That's bad news.
Yeah, well, you just know that the guy isn't happy there. He could be pitching, could even be pitching great, but the thing is that if he's not happy there, it's just not gonna stick. And that shows with a lot of people these days. It seems to be increasing. More and more people are sort of going for happiness. And I love how we talked about this a little bit last episode, but I want to speak about it again because, spoiler alert, slow news day. So, really, and I'll give you a few examples. Number one, the most recent example is Kenley Jansen, who was with the Dodgers, and he's still with the Dodgers. He is that reliever that the Nationals offered more money for, but he was not going to be a National because, one, he really liked the Dodgers, and two, he didn't want to play in D.C. And there's a lot of people who don't want to play in D.C., and that's to my delight, to be honest. But, with Kenley Jansen, I mean, he chose happiness, right? He chose happiness over money. Because at the end of the day, I think that players are making so much money that it's more of like, well, I can make a few more million over there, or I can make a few less million over here and be a lot happier. So it's like, how much is happiness worth? I feel like it's worth a lot, because baseball is a mental game too. You know, it's not just about being, you know, it's not only about having good handwork, good footwork, and things like that. You need to have the right set of mind, because you need to
mesh with the whole team, not just
chemistry plays a huge part in the team,
and
your mental, your confidence, your happiness, all that affects it. You know, everything. You know, I mean, baseball is such a mental game. It really is probably the biggest mental team sport, not solo sport, because that'd probably be golf. But for team sport, definitely the most mental. So players are more and more seemingly like to be to trade off a little bit of money, or maybe a lot of money, for happiness. And a few more examples if you need them. Well, you have Yoenis Cespedes. I mean, currently my favorite player on the Mets right now, even though Wright's my favorite of all time. He's not, to me, this year, really, Cespedes carried the Mets, even though with the pitching staff and everything. Without Cespedes, the team is not a contending team.
This is true.
And here's the thing, though. 2 years ago, he was looking for security, and rightfully so. He had a great, amazing year, and I ranted about this last episode, but he had an amazing year, and he just couldn't find a deal, and except for the Nationals, who offered him a 5-year, $100 million deal. That's security. That's all this stuff. And and he didn't take it. He went with the Mets for 3 years, $75 million. Now, it had an opt-out, so he was like, all right, well, you know what? I'll have another killer year. He bet on himself. I'll have another killer year. I'll opt out after year one and make more money elsewhere. Now, probably, listen, 5 years, $100 million, that's a lot of money. But I think a part of it was, one, that's lowballing a guy like Cespedes. That's number one. And number two, he wouldn't be happy in D.C. He would probably be more happy being in New York for another year. So he went back to New York, played another year, and he wanted a 5 or 6 year deal, and he probably could have got it if he waited until the winter meetings. But instead, he inked a 4-year, $110 million deal with the Mets. So happiness definitely persuades it, because he could have gotten more of what he wanted if he waited. And it's super relevant, because it's money. With all the talk, right, about how baseball there's so much money in baseball right now. I think a lot of the players are getting inflated salaries. A lot of players I don't think are worth their salary, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And the fact that there's just so much money, it doesn't matter a few millions anymore. You could just take it.
I think Cespedes knows how to play the money game. He's been doing this every few years whenever his contract's up. He's like, you either pay me or I'm leaving.
Yeah, I mean, and basically that's what
the Mets come to agreement all the time, and so far he stayed.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what Sandy Alderson said. And Sandy Alderson, it's a wise joke, but they've had two legal separations over the years, and ironically, that's made the marriage stronger. Because at the end of the day, Cespedes is like, wow, I really love the fans here. I really love my teammates. I really love the city. And I don't want to leave, and I really want to come back, even though I'm just leaving. Even though my contract's up, I'd really like to get a deal done with this team, because I'm comfortable here. And comfort is a big thing, because not only is it, you get the stability of being in a place. You could call that team your home. You could call that stadium, that's the place I'm going to go to work every day. Just having a place, but it's also a mental thing, and I think that plays into not only Cespedes' game, but everybody's game. So, and that's why I'm a big guy on, a change of scenery could sometimes work, because if a player, let's say he's just having a really, really, really unfortunate, unlucky, bad time of it, like a really bad slump, and then the fans turn on him. When the fans turn on you, it's the worst, right? I mean, a few weeks slump, it's, a few days slump, it's like, okay, but then when it gets to months, the fans will turn on you. And when they turn on you, you just become unhappy. You become frustrated. You're pressing to fix the issue. And with all the fans on you, I'm telling you, sometimes you just get a change of scenery. You're in a new place. You breathe in that new fresh air, the new fans, the new teammates. It's like a new start, you know. And I'm not saying every time you get into a slump you need to switch teams, but sometimes that's the remedy. You know, sometimes if you're not willing to wait long enough to get out of that slump, sometimes just a new scenery will basically boost a player and just give him, you know, a fresh start. So I don't know what you think about that, but
I think 50-50, like just like you said, it could work or it couldn't.
yeah, I mean, it's like here's the thing, like with Jay Bruce, for instance, he's a guy played well in Cincinnati, did not work out in New York. The Mets are trying to trade him. It's no secret, but you know, it's like some people have a hard time with change, and it's not a detriment to the player. It's just how it is, and that shows. You know, Jay Bruce didn't want to come to New York. It shows that he wasn't on his list of teams. He was on his list of teams that he really didn't want to go. So it shows he came here. He was having a great year. He came here, and his numbers completely slumped. And the fans were on him. Like, I mean, I was on him. And what I mean by on him is just like really unhappy and vocally unhappy with the trade. I was unhappy with the trade from day one, but you know, to me, that just shows on a player, you know. And it's the atmosphere. It's New York.
Definitely.
New York is a city unlike any other, no
City
matter
that
what.
never sleeps.
You know, it's not like, and listen, LA, right? They're like a big market now, but even LA is different. You know, like, I mean, there's nothing like New York, and especially when you're talking about baseball. Baseball is big in New York. It's always going to have a base. There's always, I mean, the Mets, the Yankees, but I mean, I know we're not talking about, I know it's not the Yankees here, it's the Mets. Like the Yankees, baseball is big time New York, right?
Yeah,
you know,
with all the championships.
all the
27.
championships. I mean, this town has been a successful town for championships in baseball, in regards to baseball. So it's just a big town. The fans who are into baseball here are really, really into it. They're really into the game. I'm telling you, you know, you watch it on TV, you go to the games, some of the most expressive and enthusiastic crowds I've seen and I've participated in, because people are just so infused with their team. There's so much passion, and that comes with negatives. When a player is doing bad or when a player is bad, the fans will be relentless, especially on Twitter. You know, I'm serious. You know,
Yeah,
Twitter is crazy.
I've seen the Twitter reactions.
I've been
and
on
everything,
Twitter,
too.
man. I'm one of those people. I rip players. You know,
I'm on Twitter too.
You know, I rip them on the show too. You know, and sometimes it works. Like Neil Walker, he really great. I'm happy he's on the team. Believe it or not, he had a really nice year with the Mets. But there was like a good 2 months where he had a huge slump, and I was ripping him. I was ripping the heck out of him. And guess what? He got out of the slump. He basically carried the team until he got hurt. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's like 50-50. Another guy who I really don't like, and he's going to be on the team, unfortunately, is Lucas Duda. I don't think he's just like Jay Bruce in a way where he's the same type of player. He's a big guy, only goes for the home run, not good on defense, just sort of like a big, clunky, streaky type of guy.
I agree. I saw him in the World Series when the Mets were in the World Series.
Yeah.
He's just a big guy. I mean,
he's a big guy. He hits bombs.
It's like home runs or nothing.
Here's the thing, right? It's like he'll hit 30 home runs, but he'll hit them in like a month, and then he'll be like dead for the rest of the year. You know,
True.
And it's just like the guy.
He's kind of overhyped.
It's not even like he's not even hyped. A lot of people hate him. Like a lot of the fans really despise him, including me. I sort of am coming to despise him because of just. It's so weird that he's on this team. This is not Sandy Alderson as the GM is more of an on-base percentage type guy. So it's really weird to see this guy on the team because he's just not an on-base guy.
I don't know. Maybe it was because of the Mets were in the World Series, that hype. But
Well,
everyone loved him at the stadium when I went.
I really think that the thing about Duda is that the Mets just are using him until Dominic Smith, one of their top prospects in the organization, comes up and is ready to take the reins. And to be honest, if Duda has serious trouble at the plate, I wouldn't be surprised if depending on the outfield situation, Conforto takes over full-time at first base, or they give Dominic Smith some time at first base, because not at the end, not this year, but next year, like in 2 years from now, he should be slated to be the guy. Just like, I mean, the Mets sort of had like this young infield going. They had Herrera at second, they had Dominic Smith at first, and they had...
You got Tebow coming up.
Well, he's not a part of the core, but... And then you have Ahmed Rosario, who would be the shortstop. So those were like the infield. Now, obviously, Herrera's gone for Bruce. Terrible, disastrous trade, in my opinion. Just look at the numbers. And it's just like Duda 2.0. We're too left-handed. Duda's left-handed, of course. Where the team is too left-handed. Every outfielder we have is freaking left-handed except for Cespedes. It's unbelievable. It's just... Things need to be done. I'll tell you that. Things need to be done because we're running out of space for these guys. It's sort of, I don't know, it's sort of weird. It's sort of like, ugh, because, you know, like there's such a logjam with the outfielders. We have Jay Bruce, we have Juan Lagares, we have Yoenis Cespedes, Curtis Granderson, you know, all of these guys, and not everyone could play every day. And, like, for instance, Lagares, that's fine. He shouldn't play every day because he can't hit right-handed pitching. He can mash lefties. So when there's a lefty in, he should be playing. But other than that, I mean, there's just too many with Granderson, Bruce, you know, Conforto, Lagares, and Cespedes. There's too many. So, you know, even people are suggesting the Mets should trade 2 outfielders. But here's the thing. You can't even trade 1 outfielder right now because you're having Edwin Encarnacion and Bautista blocking the market. So it's sort of...
Wouldn't even be a blip on the radar.
Yeah, it's sort of like nothing could get done now. We can't really move on. We can't really address any other situation until Jay Bruce or Granderson is moved, and it's hopefully going to be Jay Bruce. The team really wants it to be Jay Bruce, and it's no secret why. And here's another thing. The Mets still need to solve their relief problem. They haven't signed any relievers. They're trying to trade Jay Bruce for a reliever, which would be the best option. In fact, that's the best case scenario if the Mets just trade Jay Bruce for any reliever. But there hasn't been a lot of talks because players want to get... I mean, not players, general managers want to get the big guns off the market. They want to know, oh, are we going to land Encarnacion? Oh, are we going to land Bautista? Are we going to land whatever? So before Jay Bruce gets hit up, you know, it's probably going to be those guys first. And when Jay Bruce gets dealt, it's probably going to be out of, well, you know, we're sort of desperate at this point to get something done. We're sort of just ready to get we need something done. This guy's $13 million contract, so it's not expensive. It's just sort of, it's like a last minute move that's like really clutch in a way where they need to get something done. And, you know, that's going to be it. But, you know, unfortunately, that's basically all the time we got, guys. I'm going to let you guys know this is what I want you guys to do. If you're listening live, I want you to go on WCWP.org. They'll have all the dates and all the information for when all the shows come back and when school resumes. And we will talk to you after the break because there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about, unlike this episode where not a lot of stuff happened. So
yeah, we'll have more news.
So thanks to Julie for coming on the show today.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks to all of you listening, and hopefully we'll see you next time with a lot more news to talk about. See ya. Stay safe.